All right, Andy, I think that you are up.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, awesome.
so here's a
Joanna.
topic that comes up a lot. Chris, I kind of quote something you said about this once. It comes up kind of in the context of AI, because how can we differentiate ourselves from AI? And I've always reserved the word thought leadership to mean something different than most content. I had the chance to ask a quick question to Seth Godin at the end of a presentation once, and I asked him about thought leadership, and he immediately said, thought leadership automatically creates tension. You have to be willing to be wrong. In other words, like if you can't disagree with it, it's not thought leadership. So a lot of people kind of substitute the word, content marketing and thought leadership as if they're interchangeable. I would argue they're not, and that we should reserve the definition of thought leadership to mean basically strong opinion content or planting a flag or taking a stand for something. With that in mind, I mean, I think it's an easy way to differentiate content from the sort of AI-driven stuff, because AI literally doesn't have a perspective on things. You can prompt it to try to have one or simulate one, but and then just generally, like it's such a powerful approach. It's so rare. It makes you uncomfortable even considering it. But try this, like in your content, just ask yourself, what questions are people in my category afraid to answer? What do I believe is likely that other people think won't happen? Or what do I think people should stop doing right away? What's the wrong way to do something? And there's a bazillion little examples, big and small. There's some I throw out when I'm just giving, I'll give you a quick one. Marketers tend to overbuy technology. They just spend way too much on stuff. Like, you don't need all that. Marketers are kind of excitable and get it, that just makes a headline. Yeah, can't you imagine how
Yeah.
ChatGPT cannot throw a punch? It's never going to say that. It doesn't believe anything. So I think that it's a good time. And then, Chris, I think of your quote. Yeah, now we have to do thought leadership, but for real this time. So that's just a point of view. And I'd love either of you to have any take on that. What do you think?
I would love to jump in if that's cool. And I can only slightly add to it, but I think, yes. Randeep Sidhu, I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm definitely not. He gave a talk at Turing Fest. He was the product lead for the COVID tracker for the NHS in the UK. And he gave a talk about how villains make change. And so I kind of feel like that's similar to what you're saying here, right? There's the hero rarely makes change. The hero's trying to keep things as they are, make things go back to good. Villains are the ones who create the change. So I don't know if that's helpful in adding to the conversation. I love the idea of it. There's a whole talk on Turing Fest, and it's free and you can get it. But this willingness to be wrong, if you can't disagree with it, it's not thought leadership. And that's you have to be okay with being potentially the villain in order to get that, whatever that thing is. In this case, it's to be seen as a thought leader, or at least then you'll know that you are a thought leader because people disagree with you and maybe passionately disagree with you to the point that they're like, you're a villain. Yeah, it's a good talk.
Memorable. It's it's gonna just travel farther as far as just information go. It's not. It's gonna have better word of mouth. It's gonna do better on social. It's gonna lead to conversations.
Yeah.
My strategy is not that at all, and I do quite well at just publishing detailed how-to articles, optimized for search. That's my content strategy in a sentence. But I think it's a great opportunity, and Joe, that's a good insight, because there is no villain in purely educational content.
No.
The how-to article, what's the villain?
Yeah.
It's not. There's no trigger. It's for people after they've decided to make a change. But let's add this. Do you agree? The thought leadership is better when you're targeting a more senior audience.
Yeah.
They want a perspective. They want a way to think about things. And it's the more junior practitioner who needs the stuff I kind of do, like the how-to, detailed step-by-step things.
But the senior leaders love how-tos as well, though. Like, they buy the how-to books, too, right? But you should have. So I think about like April Dunford's obviously awesome. It's purchased by a lot of right? Purchased by a lot of leaders.
That's
exactly. Oh, I can't see it unfortunately, but I don't think I have it behind me, but I know it's in my house.
It's
and it breaks down how to, right? Like it's got steps and things. But maybe that's because positioning, maybe it's like, well, the topic that you're a thought leader on, if it's really misunderstood, then maybe that's got something to do with because everybody gets positioning wrong. Like everybody gets it wrong.
She does take a stand. I mean, the beginning of that book is like, what it's not. This is not positioning. What you thought it was, that's not it.
Yes.
Positioning isn't this and it's not this. Also, positioning is a kind of a strategic topic. It's a higher level thing. It's not like that's a big picture concept generally.
Yeah. Someone lower level is not going to be interested in that. So if it is a high level, like a senior level topic, then you can take a stand, maybe should take a stand as you're saying, but also you can veer into a little how-to at that point, I think. In one case, in this one anecdotal moment.
I'm going to use my lifeline. April? Yeah, April, quick question.
I'm on the phone with her at this exact time.
Everyone, what is that thing Andy's holding?
I know, like, Andy, that still has a cord on it. I don't know if you know.
I know.
Is it there as a paperweight or is it really
end? This is the very end of the era of the Polycom phone. I could make a strong opinion statement about this, but
do I want to hear it?
Nobody needs a dedicated fiber line to power 35 phones in an office with an average of 3 people coming in per day. The blinking light on my phone means I have spam.
Yeah.
That's what that
It's
light
not
means.
a message you need to listen to. No. You're fine.
Yeah. You know what I feel like it's a major disservice to the next generation as they'll never have that moment where you see in the movies with the corded phone and the guy slams it down like 10 times. It's like, you'll never know that.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I am so angry right now.
Sure.
There's no drama there. No.
Or what is this sound? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
It's a dial tone.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't hear it.
Yeah.
A dial tone?
Yeah.
We don't have a dial tone.
I got one for you.
There's no dial tones on phones.
I got one for you. Watch a movie and anytime someone's on the phone, see if they ever say bye.
Oh, I know.
Never
I always
say
thought that
bye
was
on
an
a movie.
American thing, like not taking your shoes off. Is it not an American thing?
It's I don't know, but it's never, ever, ever in a movie. Ever.
Huh. Yeah. When I was a kid, I was playing Office. And I said, okay, bye on my phone call. And my dad came by and he said, in business, they don't say goodbye. And that was like a life lesson to me. Like, oh, okay. And now I play Office differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
That's so funny.
There you go.
Yeah.
I say goodbye all the time.
I say goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, no, I am only saying in movies, like, they just hang up with their wife and they're just like there.
Yeah.
Like,
and they never make plans. Like, hey, do you want to go on a date? Sure, yes, I'll see you there.
See you there.
Where are they meeting?
Yeah,
Like,
what time? What's happening?
They're just gonna somehow know.
Always, I know. Real life is
That's
different.
so funny.
But anyway, I do think this is interesting. I wrote down, if you can't disagree with it, it's not thought leadership. I think that'd be really interesting to use as like a guide for whether I'm doing it or not, you know?
You know what's funny is I've been thinking about this all the time because unfortunately, I don't have a disposition where I like to split the room or I say something for shock value. At least I don't think I do. Probably the people around me are like, you're the most dramatic person I know.
Yeah.
But you know what I actually do believe happens? And is that as a leader of a company, I read things that would offend someone else in my company. And then I read that thing so that I can share that thing. And so it's a very weird thing that I think a lot of times we think that the audience that reads your message, you think, what's in it for me? A lot of leaders read stuff that's in it for an employee that you want to grow. So like everything you've been saying today, Joanna, I'm like, Roy, you're going to have to listen to this part. You have no even ifs. You know what I mean? So like, it's just a weird thing is that we will actually gravitate more so that we can have a teaching moment with someone under us. At least I do that. I don't know. I find myself doing that all the time. Because I write, but I don't write in a way where I feel like the good writers are, they work for me, but they're down the hall. You know what I mean? And yet when I hand this to them, they do all that stuff for me because I'm just so bad. Like I have ideas, I put it out very raw, and then they shape it. Yeah.
Okay. But then you go back and review it. So it's important for you to know it too. It is.
The content dies in the back and forth in my world.
Yeah. That's how you edit out the good stuff, like the don't remain versus, right? Yep. Like then you go like, oh, that's not clear. Edit that. And it's like, but hold on, it was strategic. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, the conversion copywriter has probably struggles to work well with editors.
Oh, the conversion copywriter struggles to work well with people. It's a quiet, lonely job because you're always ruffling feathers and do it this way. And they're like, stop talking, just go right.
Yeah.
How much writing do you do now?
Some. I still write our emails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's about it, though.
What I was trying
like
to figure out...
still. I just don't. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
No. I think there's a delay. I've been cutting people off all day. I was wondering what you feel like your audience size is that you're using to make sort of decisions on stuff like that. Like that, a lot of the things that you're talking about, I put in multivariate studies. I wouldn't put them in A/B studies as much as multivariate studies. Do you, Andy, you do a lot of A/B stuff. Do you do multivariate too?
No, not mostly. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta have a lot of traffic to do multivariate.
Yeah. No, and like the ones that I mentioned today, they're not even tests that I've run. They're just like academic studies. That I've read cool shit about. Yeah. But the stuff that I shared in Money Words, in Andy's Wine and webinar, that was A/B tests. Because as you say, multivariate is just, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I'd rather in most cases do an A, B, C, D, E, F than do a multivariate. It's a really tricky thing to run. Even if it's smarter to do it the other way. It's easier to do a split.
Well, here, I'll make a big statement as if I'm trying to be a thought leader. And I'll be purposely provocative.
I'm going to disagree with it no matter what. Just hear me out. Okay.
You're a thought leader, Andy. You're a thought leader. Hang in there.
Testing is, in fact, overrated. That's like sacrilege right there, right? Okay, because let's take a page. Any of us grab a random web page. Any of the three of us and half of all marketers would see 6 things that could be done immediately that would be obvious improvements, almost like a software bug. Like that's a copywriting bug. Like this was done badly. That paragraph is too long. These words are too vague. That header has, the page is called Our Solutions, and it's not about anything specifically, and there's no visual hierarchy. You don't really need to test things if you know they stink. Just fix them. Fix it. Go write better. Go. You know it when you look at it. You haven't looked at that page in years. Go read it. It's awful. Go fix it. Testing is when you're optimizing because you've made the big revolutionary improvement, and now you're iterating. So I think that people always talk about testing and how much data do you need, but when you get to the details, a lot of the stuff that people talk about testing, it's like you don't need to test that. I'm just looking at it now. Yeah, there is no call to action yet.
Yeah. It's tough though because when you do like a dramatically different variation B versus the control, then you're going to more likely to see actual like lift that you can call statistically confident. So you want to do oftentimes dramatically different design is going to perform. At least you'll get a signal. Is it good or is it bad?
Right.
Versus just rolling it out. And then you iterate from there. But I'll add to your note that even if it does win, a lot of organizations still don't implement it anyway, right? If like the CMO just plain doesn't like it, it's not going to be your new homepage, no matter how well it did. I did emails for Wistia that I talked about in a few different events that led to like, I think it was a 250 or 300% increase in paid conversions.
Wow.
really good increases in actual money coming in. It's a good thing, especially since Wistia is self-funded, or I didn't even was buying back at the time,
Great brand,
etc. Right? You need money, so here's the money. Chris Savage and I have talked about this so many times at different events when we're speaking the same thing about how his team at that time, a year or two later, was still like, oh, can we please get rid of these emails? They're so long. And that's really standard, right? Someone doesn't like it, and no matter how well it's performing, you still want to get rid of it, or you don't implement that new winning variation. Yeah. So why test it if you're not even going to do anything with it? Just like you're going on gut. So go on a smart person's gut, at least, for best results, if you can, please. But yeah, testing is, I agree with you. It's, I want to disagree with you, Andy, so that we can really be certain that it's thought leadership. But
thank you.
I agree with you.
I get ones and it's like bad, and then it's like, I got it from our CEO and he never reads infographics. Like, a lot of people do. So like, you're not going to do it just because your boss doesn't.
Yeah.
This happens like all the time. I'm like, I'm here to make data-driven decisions here. And like, here's the data that supports it. Yeah, but our boss doesn't. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yep.
I've worked with organizations that sell data to data-driven marketers. And I was like, cool, you're going to be so data-driven. And the gentleman who brought me in literally said, don't even bring up data. We don't test. We don't use voice of customer to write things. I don't even want to hear about it. We didn't work together very long. It didn't last. Yeah. But it was shocking just how like, just don't even bother me with the data.
Yeah. I have a fantasy to put like a whistle and a bell on my desk. And whenever anyone makes like an opinion-driven recommendation, I'm going to blow a whistle. And whenever anyone makes like a data-driven recommendation, I'm going to ring the bell, just to condition the culture of my meetings to improve.
Yes, the bell is good.
People would hate that.
Play Taylor Swift, and then play like some horrible other thing.
Tom Waits.
I want more Taylor. Oh, I want more Tom Waits.
You
don't like Tom Waits?
No, I'm just trying to think of someone who's like what's the opposite of Taylor Swift?
Tom Waits is pretty fair. Yeah.